Located in San Francisco's historic Chinatown at 925 Grant Street, the Chinese Historical Society of America Museum offers both locals and tourists an opportunity to experience Chinatown from the perspective of past and present Chinese voices and stories. In the words of the CHSA, its mission is to show the profound impact of Chinese American history on U.S. laws, policies, and attitudes, in order to leave no doubt that this history has been fundamental to the development of the United States, to the evolving definition of who is an American. In order to meet this goal, the museum is showcasing an exhibit titled Chinese American, Exclusion, Inclusion, which includes displays of artifacts, reproductions, and facsimiles, evocative models, mini dioramas, 2D and 3D installations, and audio and video presentations. The exhibit is broken into 5 sections, with sections 2 through 4 forming the primary narrative. Beginning with a replay of the American Revolution and its connection to Chinese tea via the Boston Tea Party, the next primary sections to the exhibit follow a clustered timeline approach. Section 1, The United States and China, 1784 to 1905, sets the stage for U.S.-China relations, beginning with a violent and traumatic introduction of China onto the world stage by the likes of imperial nations such as Great Britain and France, which used their technological and organizational superiority to enforce an opium addiction on the people of mainland China, among other unfair treaties. The exhibit posits that it is this dynamic between China and 19th century industrial nations on the world stage that informed the attitude and conduct of non-Chinese peoples toward China for the next 100 years. Following the narrative of Chinese immigration and involvement in the Industrial Revolution and the building of the Transcontinental Railroad, the exhibit enters into the complex and contradictory notions of inclusion and exclusion that permeated U.S. attitudes during the era. This section links with Section 2 by bringing attention to the contradictory attitude of the U.S. as a whole in desiring cheap labor for its economic ends, but then scapegoating this critical and useful labor by means of racially and socially motivated economic vigilantism, with this populist activism culminating in eventual state and federal legal action against the Chinese. Section 2, The Machinery of Exclusion, 1882 to 1943, covers the post-industrial relationship between Chinese immigrants and residents in the U.S. Notably how the levers of power, particularly during the Progressive Era, were enhanced and utilized to systematically exclude and marginalize people through the use of racially based immigration quotas. The exhibit argues that such immigration policies and attitudes continue to inform U.S. social and legal policies towards immigrants, non-whites, and non-residents. Therefore, modern conceptions of immigration and naturalization were born out of the relationship between the U.S. and Chinese immigrants and residents during the 19th century and early part of the 20th century. Section 3, Journeys in America, 1882 to today, and Section 4, Epilogue, build on the grand narrative by overlaying displays and demonstrations of the lived experiences and legacies of Chinese people over the last century and a half. The latter part of the exhibit discusses the end of the immigration quota system and the continued complex relationship China holds with the rest of the world, particularly the United States. Although no one really fears Chinese immigration and naturalization as in the past, as China advances as a nation and society, it is important to reconcile the past and consider its implications on the future as China and the U.S. move ever closer toward global and regional interaction. On the CHSA webpage, visitors can find additional information regarding the museum and its mission, including hours of operation, information on reservation policies and visitations, information on how to donate and volunteer, and additional educational material and online exhibits. These latter 2 items are arguably the most interesting and helpful for educators and anyone preparing for a visit to either the museum or Chinatown. The online exhibit section of the CHSA website grants public access to the Him Mark Lai Digital Archive. Named in memory of prolific Chinese-American historian, master archivist, and person responsible for helping bring attention and validity to the study of Chinese America, Him Mark Lai. The project seeks to digitize Him Mark Lai's enormous archival collection, thus spreading the message and cause of the CHSA. Other digital exhibits of note include a series of testimonials from Chinese individuals who experienced the 1906 earthquake and fire that ravaged the majority of San Francisco and incinerated Chinatown beyond recognition. The testimonials offer a glimpse into how the tragedy and calamity of the earthquake and fire endangered the future of Chinatown, but also represented a new beginning in its history. As part of its digitization efforts, the CHSA is working towards scanning and making available to the public several images of Chinatown spanning the last 100 years. Although the online exhibits, with their access to primary sources and information, offer a preliminary means of engaging curious visitors to the website and grant some educational value, it is the curriculum guide accompanying the central exhibit, Chinese American Exclusion Inclusion, that offers the practical guidance and applications for using the exhibit as part of teaching either a lesson or unit. The Education Guide section directs you to a link where you will find the curriculum guide designed to be used in conjunction with the CHSA exhibit. The curriculum guide includes a basic overview of Chinese American history and the Chinese American Exclusion Inclusion exhibit at the CHSA. The curriculum is broken into 3 units, which aligns with the principal 3-part breakdown of the Chinese American Exclusion Inclusion exhibit. Each unit section presents resources and documents for examination, as well as discussion questions to accompany the resources and stimulate complex and critical thinking on the subject material. The historical resources possess their own individual sections within the curriculum guide, and like all content, can be easily accessed by clicking on their title under the table of contents. Unit sections conclude with suggestions for educational activities and projects that build on the unit's content focus. Additional useful educational resources found in the curriculum guide include an appendix listing historical laws affecting the Chinese in America, a suggested reading list, glossary, and a list of printable resources. Due to the presentation and interactivity of the exhibit, website, and the accompanying curriculum guide, I highly recommend the CHSA Chinese American Exclusion Inclusion exhibit and downloadable curriculum resource guide to anyone involved in social studies education or with an interest in how the intricacies and complexities of Chinese and U.S. history have shaped the definition of what it means to be an American.